Hey everybody, welcome back to Yarn as a Second Language. This is going to be a very short intro. First, I'd like to say if you're not subscribed to this channel, please hit that subscribe button. This seems to be a series that people like, so I'm glad you all are enjoying this. If you haven't seen the other 3 episodes, make sure you go back and watch this. Today's video is part 4 of a 5-part series. We're wrapping this thing up. I can't wait for you guys to get to the conclusion of the series. I will be showing you all how to do a corner-to-corner moss stitch in this video. This is not a step-by-step tutorial. We have a video if you would like to see a step-by-step tutorial, so click on that if you'd like to see it. This is just mainly for the story. All right, so let's go ahead and jump into chapter 4.
The Unraveled Web, a crochet mystery. Tangled Threads, Chapter 4. Eliza could still hear the echo of Harris's words as the night swallowed up the sound of footsteps retreating into the shadows. They got away. Her heart raced, but not just from the narrow escape. Something didn't feel right. This wasn't over, not by a long shot. "Let's get you home, Eliza," Harris said, his voice tight as he holstered his gun. Claire stood beside him, pale and shaking. She clutched her purse like it was the only thing tethering her to reality. "No," Eliza said, her voice stronger than she expected. "I can't go home yet, not while they're still out there. They want something, and I need to figure out what it is." Harris looked at her, clearly conflicted, but before he could speak, Claire stepped forward. "They wanted my grandmother's designs," she whispered. "They thought she knew more than she did, but there's something else, something hidden in her work." Eliza's mind raced back to the cryptic shawl, the coded patterns that led them this far. The web wasn't just after old designs. There was something bigger in play. Harris sighed, rubbing the back of his neck. "Look, you need to be safe. If we can crack the rest of these codes, maybe we can stay ahead of them. But if you are caught out there alone..." "I won't be," Eliza interrupted. "I've come this far. If we don't finish what we've started, they'll never stop hunting me. Or Claire." Claire nodded, determination glinting in her tear-filled eyes. "We have to keep going. My grandmother didn't die for nothing." Before Harris could protest further, the unmistakable sound of a car engine roaring to life echoed down the street. A black sedan sped past, tires screeching as it rounded the corner. Eliza's heart sank as she caught a glimpse of the man from earlier, the one who had cornered her. His eyes locked onto hers, and then the car was gone, disappearing into the night. "They're watching," she whispered, more to herself than anyone else. "We need to move." The next day, the trio gathered at the Cozy Skein, Eliza's cozy yarn shop, its warm atmosphere a stark contrast to the danger lurking outside. Claire spread out her grandmother's final design across the wooden counter, while Harris kept watch at the window. "I've been looking at these all night," Eliza said, poring over the patterns. "It's not just a code, it's a map, but not to a place, to something hidden in the stitches." Claire gasped, her fingers tracing one of the patterns. "My grandmother always said her designs were more than just art. She believed they could unlock something, but she never said what." Suddenly Harris's phone buzzed. He stepped outside to answer, and within seconds his expression darkened. "We've got a problem," he said, re-entering the shop. "There's been a break-in at the museum. The web's on the move. They've stolen the final artifact tied to Mrs. Peterson's design." Eliza's pulse quickened. "What artifact?" "A small, ancient loom," Harris replied. "According to the museum, it was part of a set connected to the designs your grandmother was recreating, Claire. They're piecing it together." Eliza's mind whirred with possibilities. If the loom is part of the puzzle, then they'll need one more thing. The key. Something that can unlock the full potential of these designs. Claire's face turned white. The key. I think I know what it is. Later that night, they made their way to Mrs. Peterson's old cottage, where Claire led them to the attic. Among the clutter of yarns, boxes, and forgotten projects, Claire reached for an old, worn-out chest tucked beneath a pile of crochet blankets. She hesitated for a moment, then slowly opened it. Inside was a skein of golden yarn, shimmering faintly in the dim attic light. Wrapped around it was an ancient crochet hook, unlike anything Eliza had ever seen. It was handcrafted, the handle carved with ancient symbols that mirrored the patterns in Mrs. Peterson's design. "This," Claire whispered, holding up the hook, "is the key." Suddenly, a crash echoed from downstairs. Harris grabbed his gun, motioning for the woman to stay back as he crept down the stairs. Eliza and Claire exchanged a glance, adrenaline surging. Moments later, there was a sound of a struggle, then silence. Eliza's heart thundered in her chest. She motioned for Claire to stay put, then quietly followed Harris. She barely made it halfway down the stairs before she saw them. 2 masked figures pinning Harris to the floor, his gun knocked out of reach. Without thinking, Eliza turned and sprinted back to the attic, slamming the door shut behind her. "We have to get out of here," she whispered urgently to Claire. But it was too late. The door rattled as the intruders tried to force their way in. They only had seconds. Eliza's eyes darted around the room, landing on an old wooden ladder leading to a small window near the roof. "Come on," she urged, grabbing Claire's hand. They scrambled up the ladder, squeezing through the narrow opening just as the door burst open behind them. The 2 women climbed onto the roof, the wind whipping through their hair as they balanced precariously on the shingles. Below, the black sedan from the night before was parked, its engine running, the masked figures right behind them. "This way," Eliza shouted, leading Claire across the roof to the neighboring house. They leapt across the narrow gap, landing hard on the next roof over. But as they scrambled to their feet, the golden yarn in Claire's hand slipped, unspooling across the roof. Eliza grabbed it, pulling it tight just as one of the masked figures reached for her. With a swift flick of her wrist, she used the yarn to trip the figure, sending him tumbling off the roof. But the other figure was faster. He lunged at Claire, grabbing her wrist and pulling her back toward the ledge. "Eliza!" Claire screamed, struggling against him. Thinking quickly, Eliza flung the golden skein toward the figure's feet, tangling him in the yarn. He stumbled, giving Claire just enough time to break free. They ran, heart pounding, as the sedan roared to life behind them. The figures were down, but the web wasn't done. The next morning, they regrouped at the shop, exhaustion written on their faces. Harris had recovered from the attack, but it was clear that the web was closing in. "We can't keep running," Eliza said, staring at the crochet hook in Claire's hands. "We need to use this. Whatever Mrs. Peterson was hiding, it's time to unravel it." Claire nodded, determination in her eyes. "We have to use the key. Now, we just need to find the door." Harris tapped the map they decoded from the patterns. "I think I know where this is, but it's not going to be easy." Eliza looked at the map, then back at the hook. "We don't have a choice. If we don't stop them, they will come after everyone. My shop, the town, and us." The web was tightening its grip, but Eliza was ready to fight back. The battle was coming, and this time she'd be prepared. But as they prepared to leave, a small envelope was slipped under the door. Eliza opened it, her hands trembling. Inside was a single note. The web is everywhere. Trust no one. The final twist left them speechless. They had been betrayed from the inside.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was chapter 4. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know in the comment section if you did or if you didn't. Also, if you're not subscribed, hit that subscribe button. Thank you guys for checking out the video. I really do appreciate it, and be looking out for chapter 5 very soon. And I will see you then. All right, adios.